Hello guys, SuperAry711 here, and welcome back on my 4th episode of my Rainbow Six 3 Ravenshield campaign world. Here we are at the 4th mission, Operation Sentinel. A group of terrorists infiltrated inside a shipyard in Bergen, Norway. After a premature bomb detonation, which alerted the nearby authorities, they retreated inside the inner structures of the shipyard. They've seized control of the shipyard's warehouse, office and shipbuilding docks, while planting more explosives on their way in. Intel says that the explosive device that prematurely detonated was planted on a ship's hull, but not a random one. An oil tanker that belongs to the PDVSA, the Venezuelan National Oil Company. The harbor has a contract to build several of these ships, and it seems that the goal of the terrorists is to cripple the hulls to cause a significant financial damage to the company. When the bomb exploded, the police was immediately alerted and decided to call us and the Delta unit ASAP. The Delta unit is the Norwegian anti-terrorist unit. We know that after the blow, the terrorists retreated inside the shipbuilding facility and in the nearby warehouse and office. Once they've taken control of the shipyard, they started to issue quite interesting demands. They demand the release of some of their bad guys, the American facilities in Venezuelan territory nationalized, plus, the usual safe passage plus money. Interestingly, the same bad guys that they want to be released are convicted of blowing up some PDVSA offices. Seems a lot like they have a lot of issues with them. This operation is very similar to the operation that we did at Convoy, Operation Stolen Flame if you recall, but with a couple of key differences. First, these guys are real business. We must expect 20 to 30 professional ex-military individuals with proper gear and tactics. Regarding their psychology, they seem to be just like the guys at Amway. Therefore, fanatical and fully committed to their cause, with a leader somewhere overseeing the bomb planting sites most likely. Also, their bombs, they seem to be high-tech kind of stuff, and they will be located in key positions to blow up everything, the whole shipyard in fact. The presence of bulletproof vests, ARs, LMGs and standard military training are almost assured, especially considering the long corridors and lines of sight present in the shipyard. At least a couple of marksmen will be placed in key overlook points just to oversee the whole situation. In other news, the siege in and out of the village of Lamora was finally brought to an end, with a complete success in fact. After 2 days of very tense situations, with several wounded amongst the Swiss policemen and fierce firefights, Team Rainbow managed to retrieve all the kidnapped IMF delegates and civilians without taking any casualty. All terrorists were either neutralized or captured, and the area has been finally secured. Intelligence also reports that Argentinian passports have been found on the bodies and that a live terrorist was taken into custody for an interrogation. Argentina is backing us up and are fully available for an investigation on the matter. So the story seems to get in each mission the story is more and more interesting and more complex. Regarding our objectives, of course we must prevent the detonation of the explosive devices, most likely three explosive devices, one on the ship building area, one on the warehouse, and most likely another one located somewhere in the inner structures. And of course we must neutralize all terrorists in the facility. Okay, so let's load our plan for today. Okay, you can see that this time we went with a very strange setup, a strange formation of 3-3-2. This time, instead, I will be in a person team leader of gold team this time, and the reason for it is first of all, just to change up, change up some things every once in a while. I think it's always good. So this time we are going to control gold team, and as you can see here, I have a rather strange and quite unique loadout for this mission, because as I said before, in this map there are a lot of long corridors, long hallways and long lines of sight, and considering these factors, I decided that instead of using a standard assault rifle or an SMG for example, I really needed that little bit more of range, and this will be quite apparent, especially in the gameplay, because there are a couple of spots that especially require a sniper rifle. And also the reason why I've chosen to go with this formation here, that by the way I never use because it's quite unbalanced, it's because as you will see later in the planning room, red team and green team will assault the warehouse and the area behind the warehouse, whereas I, with the quote-unquote sniper team, we are going to clear especially the first part of the mission, the part with all the several different long lines of sight, and so talking about our operator, as you can see, I went with medium armor. Actually, in my very first attempt, I originally chosen to go with the light armor because since we are a sniper, we don't really need that armor. We don't really use it, and because we are quite far away usually from the target. But this time, as we will see later, the armor is quite useful for our sniper, because in the last part of the mission, when we are going to assault the shipbuilding facility, actually I need a little bit of protection, because with the light armor, as you know, you're protected only by pistol rounds, and in this mission ARs and SMGs are quite popular with the terrorists. So medium armor will grant us that little bit extra of protection without impairing our stealth too much and our movement. So it's, I think, the better choice in this kind of scenario. For the primary weapon, as you may have noticed, I decided to go with a sniper rifle this time, because yes, with a classic assault rifle we could potentially do this mission without any trouble, but there are a couple of spots, or specific spots, where the sniper rifle really shines. And just to change up a little bit of the gameplay, because assault rifles, I love them, but in this mission a sniper rifle has its advantages. And speaking of our primary weapon, I've chosen to go with the PSG-1, which is a beautiful sniper rifle, super accurate, great stopping power, and I generally really like it. I could have chosen to go with the FD 338 or with the Mark 11 Mod 0/SF25, but in this kind of engagements I don't really need the super stopping power of the 33 Latwa round, and at the same time I don't really need the very convenient magazine capacity of the Mark 11. So the PSG one has only, I think, one drawback, which is only 5 rounds in the magazine. But trust me, you will see in the gameplay, it's not really a drawback, especially in this map, in this mission, because we are going to use the sniper rifle only in the very first part of the mission. Afterwards, we are going to go almost entirely with the secondary weapon. So 5 rounds in the magazine, yeah, not too much, but at the same time, great stopping power, semi-automatic, very accurate rifle, and yeah, very good rifle indeed. For the secondary, which will be very important for us since it's our short-range weapon. Originally, I wanted to go with the MP7 because it's the best secondary weapon you can have in this game. Essentially, it's a bit OP, to be fair. But at the end, I noticed that you don't really need the extra range of the MP7 compared to the pistol, I mean. And therefore, I went instead with the Glock 18. But then again, I noticed that the full auto, you know, brutality of the Glock 18, it's not really necessary as well. So choosing the secondary weapon was a bit of was a bit difficult for me, because I kind of wanted an automatic weapon, but at the same time I didn't want a fully, you know, fledged SMG. I wanted something very compact, very quick to draw, just to, you know, prevent our death in a close quarters combat. And considering these factors, I've chosen the P226R, because it's a very good pistol, 9mm, also with a suppressor, because that little bit of stealth that we can have with a silenced pistol will increase our chances of actually survive in the first part. So this mission will be loud, but at the same time, with a silenced pistol, I can try to, you know, minimize our signature too much, considering, you know, that the PSG does quite a lot of a bang when it shoots. For the gadgets, I went with a very, you know, basic frag and smoke setup. Frag grenades because they are useful when we are going to clear the office buildings, and smoke grenades because they can help us conceal our movements in the open. You can see that also I've chosen to go with another operator in my team and sacrificing one for red and green, because as I said before, yes, we have the sniper rifle to reach terrorists at long range and the pistol to defend ourselves, but at the same time I need someone else with maybe an SMG or an assault rifle to defend me quickly if someone, you know, comes in front of my face and shoots me, so at least wants to shoot me. So I need the protection of another operator watching my back when I use the sniper rifle. Speaking of the red team and green team, essentially I gave them all assault rifles, because SMGs, you can use them, but they don't have the range to actually cover all lines of sight, and that is a problem in this mission. So assault rifles for everyone. Also, you can see that in red and green teams, the middle, you know, the middle operator has heavy armor instead of medium. Why? Because these two operators, they are going to be the ones that will disarm the bombs in the shipyard, and to increase their chances of survivability, I decided to give them heavy armor, because if they die or if they get, I don't know, incapacitated, for example, it's a bit of a trouble, and I need to avoid that. So pretty basic loadout for everyone, you know, assault rifles for everyone, with a few exceptions of a couple of operators with SMGs and shotguns for close range engagements, Yeah, so this is loadout essentially. The decision behind the 332 formation is that, as you will see here in the planning room, red and green will be the assaulting teams, the ones that go inside of the shipyard and disarm the bombs. Whereas I am the quote-unquote sniper team, and our job is a little bit, easier compared to the job of the other teams. The problem was that I couldn't afford 4 operators for the assaulting teams because I needed 1 for my personal security. So that's why I've chosen 332, because if you remember, there is the 8 rule in this game, and you can't have more than 8 operators at once. So that's why I used this hybrid type of formation. Yeah, so to better understand what happens in these mission, let's start with our team. So we are going to be gold team, spawning here at west. Our initial part of the mission will be completely in the open. We're going to sneak very quietly behind this truck, and this is a very important. There are a couple of points in this shipyard where the marksman that I've talked about previously will snipe our positions, and we must take him out. So the first one, as you can see in the little screen, is that crane over there. In that crane, most likely a sniper will be located, and essentially we must take him out, because if any of the assaulting teams decide to go out, they're going to be killed. So our first job is to secure this very first area, kill the first sniper. Then when the corridor that you can see in this part is clear of any threats, we are going to clear it with a sniper rifle. We are going to sneak behind the containers, you can see here south, and stop here behind this container, because in this position you can see again in the little screen, in that very far window there will be another marksman, and we must take him out as well. So after taking out the second sniper, we are going to go up this container and provide cover from this position to the assaulting teams. So I will give them the go code alpha, and they will move on. As they move towards the shipyard, we are going to go together with them. We are going to participate in the assault, just staying a little bit behind to ensure our protection. We are going to stop in this entrance, wait for red to reach approximately this position, and once they have the control of this whole room, we are going to go inside and go up the catwalk. When we are on the catwalk, they are going to simultaneously disarm the first bomb, and as they do that, we are going to clear this whole office area that you can see. The last very important area that we're going to cover is here. You can see again in the small screen, in that ship that you can see out of the window, there will be the third and final sniper. So our job is to clear the offices and then kill the sniper from this position. After the sniper is dealt with, we are going to provide again cover for the assaulting teams down there, and when they are in position, we are going to go down this stairway here and stop at this position. This is the quote-unquote machinery room. This is where the second bomb is located. So our job is to go in, clear this first room, and then stop here and wait for green team. Green team will stack up at the door and wait for Bravo. When Bravo is a go, we are going to simultaneously clear this room together, as you can see, and also cover them while they defuse the bomb. once the bomb is defused, we're going to go together down this stairway and wait for Charlie. As you can see here, Charlie is essentially the beginning of the final area. This is the shipbuilding facility. Our job is, as I said before, is not really to assault. We are not the frontline troops. We are the troops that need to cover the others. And when Charlie is a go, when Goku and Charlie is a go, green and red will go in and start to clear this very big area. And us, our task essentially, is to provide cover in this corridor. You can see. So the basic concept behind it is that when the Charlie go code is a go, while red and green are busy clearing the site, our job is to cover their backs and prevent any terrorists from escaping from these doors you can see here. So we will just provide cover. Speaking of the assaulting teams, just to give you a better insight on what happens, initially they will just stop here behind this line of containers at Alpha, because as I said before, if they go out, this sniper and the sniper on the crane can just wipe them out. So they're going to wait for my signal, my clearance. When the outside area is clear, they can go ahead with Alpha, and red team will go left and green team will go right. Red team will infiltrate in the western part of the warehouse, whereas green will assault the outside area of the warehouse. So this bit here and here. Red has the the first very important role of this mission is that they need to defuse the first bomb. So they will go inside and defuse the first bomb. When the first bomb is defused, they are going to go back and stack up at this door, this little building, waiting for my clearance as a sniper. So when the area is cleared, they can go ahead again with Bravo, and red will go down the left stairway, green will go down the right stairway, and red essentially just goes down and waits here at this entrance. They will wait for Charlie before assaulting the first room. Green team, interestingly, will do quite a different thing, and here you can see they will go down the right stairway but stop at one floor previous to the final area. They will, as I said before, stack up waiting for Bravo, and when the go code is assigned, they will defuse the second bomb. When the second bomb is secured, they will again go down the stairs and do the same thing essentially as red. When Charlie is a go again, red will clear this first part of the shipbuilding facility. Green team will do the same, but their job is more important because in this room there is the last bomb. So green team has a bigger task to accomplish. While red clears the first room, green will clear this room and defuse the bomb. When the last bomb is secured, and if any terrorists are left, both green and red will simultaneously attack this last room and essentially cut off any chances of any terrorists, escaping. Remember that we are here, so you can see that they have nowhere left to run. Red will cut off the left side, green will cut off the right side, and us will cover this long corridor. So any terrorists that might escape from the joint assault, they can't really escape because every escape route is blocked by us. Okay, so let's proceed to the mission. You see again the summary of our teams. 3-3-2 is again a formation that I never use because it's quite unbalanced between the individuals and the teams, but I believe that in this mission, considering that we are using a sniper rifle and we need security for us, for ourselves, it's a good choice. I think that it will work quite well. Yeah, so let's start, boys. Let's prevent those bombs from exploding. Let's go.
Keep your eyes open. This place is like a shooting gallery.
Green waiting for Alpha. Red waiting for Alpha. Hold up. Holding position. Move out. On Zulu. Yes, sir. Tango down. Hostile neutralized. Threat down. Zulu, go! Right away, sir. Tango down. Reform on me. Coming. With you, sir. Hold position. Holding. Hostile neutralized. Open and clear. Yes, sir. Threat eliminated. Clear. Fall in. In formation. Closed door. Right away, sir. Reform on me. With you, sir. Hold up. Holding position. Hostile down. Threat neutralized. Fall in. In formation. Move out. I'm on it. Hostile down. Alpha, go, go, go! Green, milestone 1 secured. Reform on me. With you, sir. Move out. Right away, sir. Green, waiting for Bravo. Red, milestone 1 secured. Fall in. In formation. Red, milestone 2 secured. Red, waiting for Bravo. Open and clear, on Zulu. I'm on it. Zulu, go, go, go! Yes, sir. Clear. Move out. Right away, sir. Contact. Hostile eliminated. Tango down. Status. Red waiting for Bravo. Green waiting for Bravo. down. Red neutralize. Bravo! Go, go, go! Reform on me. With you, sir. Open door. I'm on it. Green, waiting for Bravo. Red, waiting for Charlie. Fall in. Coming to you. In formation. Move out. Right away, sir. Move out. I'm on it. Threat eliminated. Threat down. Move out. Yes, sir. Reform on me. With you, sir. Bravo, go! Move out. Right away, sir. Green, out of 2 secure. Fall in. In formation. Green, waiting for Charlie. Status report. Red, waiting for Charlie. Green, waiting for Charlie. Charlie, go, go, go!
Mission completed.
Shipyard is